All right, lovers of the sweet science, welcome to Boxing Scene's Top Stories here on ProBox TV, your boxing channel. I am George DeMattelis, and we'd like to remind you on ProBox TV that you can continue to get the long-form content like The Ranking Show and Big Fight Breakdown, and also Top Stories has a playlist, so you can watch the videos back-to-back, and we have audio form as well, podcast form, where podcasts are available. It is always more fun when you have the champions here, and I am joined by Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi here on Top Stories. Well, it appears that Tszyu is focused on his IBF world title shot against Bakhram Murtazaliev, and he's not maybe too concerned about Riyadh season, what Turki ALALSHIKH might have in store for Tszyu. So, Chris, let me ask you, what should we make of Tszyu and maybe the situation? And it seems like maybe there's a little bit of tension between him and Turki going forward and how that might impact his career.
I mean, anything that I would speak about between Tszyu and Turki ALALSHIKH based on, these Twitter talks and whatnot would be speculation. All I'm really concerned about is that Tszyu is back. Tszyu is a very, very talented young fighter, coming off that controversial loss to Sebastian Fundora, which is caused by a, well, I'm not saying it's caused by, but he got cut in that fight. It was a lot of blood. He was looking good up until that point. I think he is a major player at 154 and a guy who could really emerge as one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world in those weight classes. So I'm happy that he's back. I'm happy that he's getting a world title fight. I feel like he got a raw deal in that Fundora fight based on that cut and what the doctors were allowing them to keep that fight going. But him being back is a good thing. And in terms of what's going on with Turki ALALSHIKH, obviously he's getting a title shot anyway, coming off of a loss. So he doesn't necessarily need any help in that regard. But if you have titles and you're able to get big fights, and he also has a big name, I think he'll be fine, just fine at 154. There's plenty of dance partners there for him to make a name for himself.
Yeah, Paulie.
Yeah,
go ahead, Paulie.
I agree. Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, I think it's one of those things where I think he's focused on his career. I'm not necessarily speculating on if there's any sort of disagreement. I know Turki ALALSHIKH also had mentioned in a tweet that, okay, Tszyu is, so we're going to go in another direction with the 154-pound division and whatnot. Either way, I'm going to tell you like this, okay? Tszyu is an example of what happens when you have an idiot working as a judge, commission doctor, whatever. One idiot can change the trajectory of a career. That's why guys flip out when they get robbed, at least I did, and things like that. Because one wrong move can change the trajectory of your career. Tszyu is, I dare I say, it's probably the best 154-pounder in the world. He could have been right there with Crawford in that fight, And instead, he's probably outside the top 5 because he had to take that loss, all because there was an idiot working as a ringside doctor in that corner that night. So now all of a sudden you're dealing with these Twitter fingers going back and forth, this and that. Listen, I think Riyadh season and Turki ALALSHIKH, they want to make the best fights possible. If you're going to make the best fights possible, Tszyu has to be involved. If you're not involving Tszyu, then sorry, guys, you're not making the best fight possible. You're making your favorite fighters fight possible. And that's how it's got to work. If you're going to make the best fights possible, Tszyu has to be involved. Tszyu, aside from that cut, was going to probably stop Fundora halfway through that fight. He couldn't miss him in the first 2 rounds, okay, until he got cut. That guy is still the same threat to the 154-pound division as he was before. And that guy was the guy I was pinning to be the man at 154 pounds, even with the tough competition that's there. And I still pin him to be the man at 154 pounds. He's just got to be given the opportunity.
And there was a quote from George Rose, who's the chief executive of No Limit Boxing, who's put it very clearly. He says, right now, we're going to fight for a IBF world title. So he's not concerned about Turki ALALSHIKH or Terrence Crawford down the line. He has to take care of business against Murtazaliev. Chris and Paulie thinks
it's one step at a time, guys. It's one step at a time.
And Tszyu has the potential to take that step to become a world champion once again. All right, fellas, thank you very much for your time here on Top Stories. And we'd like to remind you to scan the QR code and also check out Wednesday Night Fights, another edition coming up August 21st, the best live fight series in all of boxing. I am George DeMattelis, and this is Boxing Scene's Top Stories.
Wednesday Night Fights. Coming up on your next Wednesday Night Fights, August 21st, Jarrett Hurd battles Jason Rosario.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.